How about this other idea presented by Mr. Peter Tiel, the co-founder of PayPal, that internet payment platform? He was talking about this matter to do with monopoly and competition and why, in his own opinion, which is also mine, I think, if one is starting a company or a business, should aim at it being a monopoly for a good while, because that means if it is something which is valuable and worthwhile, it has a staying power in terms of giving more revenues, more profits, and all the metrics. I like this comparison that it gives between Google and all airlines in the United States combined in the year 2012. He was just trying to belabor the point about this idea that monopoly is better than competition, even though the authorities in the United States and other jurisdictions think it not very positive. So in that comparison, he was looking at Google, which claims it isn't a monopoly, yet in his own opinion, it is. And yet there are many other companies which are in the competitive sphere, but also claim that they have something unique which differentiates them from others. In other words, they want to appear like they are monopolies. So what is the dichotomy here? But monopolies, because of the antitrust laws, don't want to identify themselves strictly as monopoly companies. I've given you an example there of Google. Yet other companies which are in the competitive spectrum of business want to deny that aspect and claim they are well differentiated. So that is a dichotomy. So in this comparison, the most valuable lesson here is that don't look at companies in terms of size. Look at other metrics like market capitalization, earnings per share, and all the other, these benchmarks which are used to assess companies and businesses. So in this particular comparison of these two, he found that United Airlines, all combined in 2012, had a revenue of a certain amount there. It was higher actually than Google, but when it came to profit margins, it was actually different. They had 0.2%, the airlines, that is combined, and while Google had north of 20% in terms of profit margins. And then when it comes to market capitalization, that is still more stuck because the combined airlines had a market capitalization of $112 billion, while Google itself had a market capitalization of about 393, that's almost $400 billion. So he was looking at the fact that United Airlines combined, if you combine all the airlines in the United States, they would seem to be more valuable economically than Google search engine, yet in reality, the revenues, profit margins, and market capitalizations say otherwise. It gives also the idea that United Airlines combined have been getting almost 0% profit margins, and yet they recapitalize most of the profits or other revenues. Yeah, so you can see we can actually have revenue being recapitalized. That means you give stockholders, an opportunity not to take dividends. So let's just hear what we're saying about this.
Of what you've created, and sort of just to illustrate this as a contrast. If you sort of compare the U.S. airline industry with a company like Google on search, if you sort of measure by the size of these industries, you could say that airlines are still more important than search. If you just measure it, say, by revenues, it was 195 billion in domestic revenues in 2012. Google had just north of 50 billion. And certainly, sort of on some intuitive level, if you said, if you were given a choice and said, well, do you want to get rid of all air travel, or do you want to get rid of your ability to use search engines? The intuition would be that air travel is something that's more important than search. And this is, of course, just the domestic numbers. If you looked at this globally, airlines are much, much bigger than search or than Google is. But the profit margins are quite a bit less. They were marginally profitable in 2012. I think the entire 100-year history of the airline industry, the cumulative profits in the U.S. have been approximately zero. The companies make money, they episodically go bankrupt, they get recapitalized, and you sort of cycle and repeat. And this is reflected in the combined market capitalization of the airline industry is maybe something of the U.S. airline industry, something like a quarter that of Google. So you have a search engine much smaller than air travel, but much more valuable. And I think this reflects these very different valuations on X and Y.
Yo, what's up, Gary?